Well, you heard just there, Britain has got to do better. That is the admission from ministers here in the United Kingdom. It's simply no good, really, blaming these so-called difficulties or even the COVID-19 pandemic, because the numbers are really escalating out of control. It comes as the numbers of people trying to reach the United Kingdom via the English Channel has now tripled in a year, from 8,500 to more than 23,000. In the last week alone, on 3 different occasions, over 1,000 people reached the United Kingdom via this route. Plus, on top of all of that number, just 5 people have been returned to Europe. Now, ministers are following, indeed, the Home Secretary Priti Patel's lead of using slogans and rhetoric like making the channel absolutely unviable. But it seems to be just a slogan, as now 3 years ago Priti Patel first used that phrase, and the situation year on year is only getting worse. As per usual, though, there's a tit for tat between the United Kingdom and its French counterparts across the channel. Not only does each side blame the other, pointing the finger of blame directly, saying it's their own problem, but the United Kingdom is saying that French authorities are flat out refusing to keep to their word of that joint patrol mission, while the French are saying that the United Kingdom is in no position to point the finger either.
UK Home Secretary and French Interior Minister agreed to accelerate the delivery of the commitments made in the joint agreement of July 2021 to deliver on the joint determination to prevent 100% of crossings and make this deadly route unviable.
For the record, the 100% figure was not agreed between the Home Secretary and French Interior Minister Gerald Darmanin and should not be presented as an agreed commitment. It is not, and it is not part of the joint statement.
The European leaders recently held talks to discuss ways to increase hostility for migrants, illegal or otherwise. Their whole focus is on putting blame on the migrants themselves and those who traffic them, while ignoring the awful regimes that they are escaping from. Even less attention is given to the historical and current role that the European colonialist foreign policies play in supporting such murderous and cruel regimes. This is the ugly truth that the migrants are exposing, and the real reason why the elite will stop at nothing to prevent them. The global Britain that the British government is keen to promote can only mean increased support for brutal regimes, a consequent increase in migration, and even crueler hostility to the migrants, as they get blamed to avoid scrutiny of the dirty foreign policies and practices of the privileged elite. Human beings are distinguished by their humanitarian nature, such that they want to preserve humanity and save a drowning stranger. For example, capitalism, with its exaggerated materialism and the selfishness, hardly recognizes such values, as it gives free rein to the might is right doctrine. The wealthy elite among the capitalists are so focused on their own enrichment that they are happily destroying the lives of most of humanity, now as well as the planet for future generations. Everyone else is expected to quietly assent to their destructive behavior, despite the aching in our bones that such brutality is not right. The migrants come to Europe to escape the misery and danger of life under the Western installed murderous and brutal regimes, only to find that Europe and Britain are deliberately becoming more hostile to foreigners by the day. The European governments and their media accomplices are dehumanizing all migrants and their descendants with policies of forced repatriation, citizenship removal and open hostility upon arrival. The privileged elite are selling a lie to the indigenous citizens that they are entitled and more deserving than those who arrived after them. Capitalist democracies need to pander to the xenophobic whims of the electorate. The leading elite even encourages them for immediate gains, regardless of the long-term havoc such attitudes inevitably bring. They live for now, giving no regard for tomorrow. The colonialists destroyed Africa and Asia centuries ago, and they have continued to do so until this present day. They did not and do not care about the misery they inflict on most of the world, nor the injustice of the greedy and lustful exploitation of foreign lands and people. The wealth of Europe is primarily the ill-gotten spoils of slave traders, privateers, kingmakers and the colonialists of the past and present, yet the wealthy elite recoils at the very notion that the privilege is not the entitlement, and that others could have a claim on it too. Islam does not grant privilege to one people over another based on their lineage or place of birth. This is a barbaric practice of the ignorant days before Islam. Sadly, it has long been a European tradition which was further entrenched with the adoption of the capitalist ideology.